Okay, Sena, do you have a favorite beer?
I do have a favorite beer actually, and I do want to talk about this. It's a small craft brewery here in Luxembourg. They're called Are We Friends? I get their beer all the time, and I always try to make people have it as well.
Is this a free marketing campaign that you're sneaking into our
They're
podcast?
so sweet. It's such a small brewery actually, so I wouldn't mind it,
That
but
sounds lovely.
okay. What I wanted to kind of talk to you about today actually starts with a little bit of a thought experiment, right? So, what's the one industry that has every possible reason to care about climate change, and it's mainly because climate change is literally coming for its main ingredients?
I mean, we were just talking about the alcoholic beverages, so I think that would
Yeah.
definitely be one. But I can imagine that also coffee or a lot of different food brands are definitely heavily exposed to climate change as well.
Yep. Fair guesses, they're valid, but no, we are talking about beer specifically today. And the fact that the world's biggest brewers are right now in a race that they genuinely cannot afford to lose.
Right. Welcome back to the Corporate Sustainability Shit Show. I'm Jonas,
I'm Senna.
and today we are cracking open the brewing industry's sustainability story. And
Yeah.
it's actually quite fascinating.
Yeah, because it literally has everything. Water, barley, genetics, cans. It even has a Danish brewer that accidentally added 1 million tons of CO2 to their balance sheet because they bought a soft drink company.
Well, we'll get into that. But first,
Yeah.
why does beer even matter here?
Well, it's because beer is basically liquid agriculture, right? You need water, barley, hops, energy to brew, energy to cool, and to ship, right? Climate change is threatening all of these things at the same time.
Yeah, and barley especially. Barley is a cereal crop, so it's deeply sensitive to heat stress and
Yeah.
unpredictable wet harvests. So when it rains at the wrong moment, the grain can literally start sprouting before it's even been harvested.
Yeah. Which I know that it sounds like a minor inconvenience to the people that are not in the industry until you realize that pre-harvest sprouting causes billions of dollars in crop losses globally every year. And unfortunately, with the way that climate change is going, that number is bound to go up.
Yeah, and it's not just a sustainability story. It's a we might not have the ingredients to make our product anymore story.
Yeah.
So yeah, it
Yeah.
really tends to focus, to sharpen the mind.
Yeah. Out of these brewers that I wanted to talk about, Carlsberg has been doing one of the most interesting work here. So they have a research laboratory, which they will remind you that it's the world's first industrial
They
research
they
laboratory.
do mention first a
I
lot,
know. They
yes.
do, but you have to give it to them. Last November, they published a breakthrough in the journal Science about a gene that controls seed dormancy in barley. So for us people that don't really know about genetics, it's basically how to breed barley that's more resilient to wet harvest conditions.
Yeah, and they published this openly. Their quote was, like beer, science should be shared,
Yeah,
which I
exactly.
like. I respect
Yeah,
that.
it's one of the two, right? It's either really, really genuinely lovely, or it's one of the best marketing lines in agriculture genetics. Most likely both.
Yeah, and they also launched a new ESG program called
Yeah.
Brewing Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carlsberg already hit some impressive milestones. 90% of their electricity comes from renewables. Their
Yeah.
recycled content in their bottles is already at 51%, which is 5 years ahead of their 2030 target.
Yeah. But on the other hand, on the flip side, regenerative barley sourcing is currently at 2% of raw materials, and their target is supposed to be 30% in the next 4 years, 2030.
Well, so they have some ground left to cover, I would say.
They indeed do. But their Kronenberg brand, that's based in France, just locked in a deal so that the beer brewed this year with 100% traceable barley grown with regenerative practices, and it's going to be tracked on blockchain.
Talking about blockchain barley here.
Yeah, I know. The future is very weird, but I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, next to Carlsberg, I also want to talk about Heineken.
Okay.
Because if Carlsberg is the agricultural nerd, Heineken is the person at a dinner party who keeps steering every conversation back to water.
Yeah, their sustainability director's quote is literally, "Without water, there's no beer."
What a groundbreaking insight. Wow.
Yeah, but again, I always come with the buts. Their water strategy is genuinely one of the most detailed in the whole FMCG world, right? They're targeting 1.5 liters replenished back into local watersheds for every liter of beer that they sell in water-stressed areas.
And they're making real progress. Heineken saved 4.2 billion liters of water in 2025.
Yeah, which then they converted into 16,080 swimming pools or 24 million 10-minute showers.
Okay, someone in their communications team really committed to that number.
Yeah, I mean, it's just to simplify it for, us readers. And they also simplified their sustainability goals this year. They cut them down from 24 to 16, I know it sounds like a retreat, but it's actually just pure focus. And their water targets actually got stricter with the new version.
Okay, so I might say that they're not watering things down.
Okay. And okay, corny, but aside from this, I want to also talk about the funniest sustainability plot twist
I
of
think you're gonna bring
2025.
up the Britvic thing.
I am going to bring out the Britvic thing. So, Carlsberg acquired Britvic, a British soft drink company, in 2025, and that's great for the business. Everyone loves an expansion. But Britvic's operation nearly added 1 million tons of CO2 to Carlsberg value chain, and it happened like that, a 16% jump in their total carbon footprint.
16% increase just from
Yeah.
acquiring a company.
Yeah, just from acquiring a company. And their brewing tomorrow targets had to be pushed back to 2032 because of this.
Right, so push back the targets for 2 years. But if you take a step back, this is actually fine. That's how it should work.
Yeah,
Your company grows, your footprint grows, and you just adjust your plan honestly. And they didn't pretend it didn't happen, and I
yeah,
think that's actually respectable.
yeah. Transparency is the most important, right? And they updated their targets and they published a full climate transition plan. In the sustainability world, I know that sometimes boring and responsible can be a little underrated, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree there. There's one more lens worth putting on the brewery industry, which is
Yeah.
the SBTi dashboard. Which companies actually got validated targets?
Heineken is one of them. They
Hmm.
have validated near term and net zero targets, and they're the first global brewer to get there.
Right. Carlsberg as well, even though their target validation is delayed by their Britvic acquisition, as they need to recalculate their baseline. But their brewing tomorrow is explicitly built toward SBTi alignment. So their target validation is pending, not abandoned.
Yeah. AB InBev is a controversial one because their net zero commitment was actually removed from the dashboard back in 2022. And unfortunately, there's no resubmission that was announced.
Well, and look, we've focused mainly on Carlsberg and Heineken today, but
Yeah.
AB InBev is in this story too. They're the biggest brewer in the world with over
Yeah.
500 brands. And they have the exact same existential ingredient risk. They've
Yeah.
hit real operational targets for 2025. They reduced their scope 1 and their scope 2 by 44%. They met their water goals. So they
Yeah.
do have the discipline, but
87% of their footprint is in scope 3. And right now, there's no validated North Star for it. So we have to keep an eye on it, I guess.
yeah. And so, what does the beer story actually tell us about sustainability more broadly?
Here's the thing. We spend a lot of time on and for this podcast and in sustainability in general. We talk about regulations, pledges, targets, greenwashing, and a lot of corporate sustainability is driven by all of that.
Yeah, it's pressure from the outside. You either comply or you have to explain.
Yeah, comply or comply. Right. But the brewing industry is a very particular case because the pressure is actually coming from inside of the house. If barley fails, the product disappears. If water dries up, the breweries close. There's no marketing spin that you can take that will fix up a bad harvest.
Yeah, and that's the broader point. And this is actually the direction that corporate sustainability is moving into in 2026. There's a
Yeah.
shift happening from sustainability as compliance or sustainability as a cost to sustainability as a survival strategy or
Yeah.
sustainability as a profitability strategy.
Yeah. And they have the data that backs it up, right? So 82% of companies, they now report a direct economic benefit from decarbonization efforts. And 88% of CEOs say that there is a business case for sustainability today that's stronger than 5 years ago. And 75% of corporate decarbonization plans now include actual ROI forecast. So they're not really doing it on principle. They do expect a return like they do with everything else.
Yeah, and it sounds cynical, but it's actually the healthiest possible sign because regulations change with governments, customer expectations shift throughout time. But if a company has genuinely baked sustainability into its supply chain and embedded sustainability in its strategy because its own product depends on it, that
Yeah.
doesn't go away.
Yeah. The brewers at least figured out their that self-interest and planet interest in this case are the same thing.
Yeah, which is either the most hopeful thing that we've said on the show.
Or the lowest possible bar for corporate virtue.
Yeah, that's right. Well, this was today's episode. Thank you for tuning in and cheers.
Cheers.